Let's now bring in NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist for more on this. Aaron, good morning. Always good to see you. So we know the Biden administration has been working to try to prevent this ground offensive in Rafah from even happening for weeks now. Now, they're saying that this is this targeted incursion. But what are you hearing from the White House about this attack? Does the Biden administration intend to respond in any way?
So you're right, Savannah. The Biden administration has been saying for months now, really, that it didn't want to see Israel execute a large-scale, massive military movement into Rafah because of the more than 1 million Palestinians who are sort of gathered and who have been pushed into that area. And so a U.S. official has told NBC News that it doesn't believe this movement by Israel was that major military operation. As Richard indicated, it seemed as though this was and as the IDF has said this morning, this was a targeted operation that went in with a specific set of outcomes that they were trying to accomplish without being a massive military operation that would see air and ground forces and that sort of go in and do some extensive action there. The White House, we know, had been watching the situation and monitoring what was going on last night. And at this point, as I say, it doesn't seem as though there's an understanding that this was the major military operation that the U.S. has been encouraging Israel not to take. And of course, the primary concern there, Savannah and Christine, was that there are so many people, so many civilians in that area. And the U.S. has been saying to Israel that it should not go through with that operation until it can present a clear, executable plan to care for the evacuation of those people, to make sure that they could be that their needs could be met in terms of food and water and medicine before they would do any operation that would go to root out Hamas from that area. And of course, the administration does still support Israel's efforts to decapitate Hamas.
You know, Aaron, the Biden administration also delaying the sale of precision military weapons to Israel. What more do we know about that?
Yeah, our team at the Pentagon has been able to learn from two senior administration officials that the administration did stop or halt the shipment of a large shipment of offensive weapons into Israel last week. We know that this talk about ramping up to go in with this ground invasion of Rafah is something that the Israelis had been working on, and this shipment of 2,000-pound bombs and other ammunition would likely have been used in Rafah, according to this official that spoke to our team. And Israel has said that it would still plan to go in with some sort of a plan, a military action in Rafah, even though this sort of a shipment was delayed. Israel does have the ability, the weaponry to be able to execute something like that without the use of weapons provided by the U.S. But certainly anything that the U.S. would be providing would be helpful to Israel in its operations against Hamas. And of course, this raises the question of whether the Biden administration is trying to use some leverage here to slow down what Israel is doing until it can get a better idea of what Israel's plans are.
Aaron, you gave us a preview of this yesterday, but we know today the president is set to deliver a keynote address on anti-Semitism at a Holocaust remembrance ceremony today. What is his message going to be, and do we expect he will address this invasion of Rafah at all when we see him today?
Well, the White House has shared a few points that they expect the president to touch on in his comments this morning at the U.S. Capitol for the Days of Remembrance ceremony that's going to be happening there. And what we've learned at this point is that the president will talk about the Holocaust, and he will talk about the events that led to it and the need for Americans and people really around the world to not forget the murdering of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust and all that led up to that. He, of course, we know, will also speak about what happened on October 7th in Israel, the attack by Hamas then, and really talk about the connection between those two incidents in terms of how they've impacted the Jewish people and the need for people around the world to not forget those two occurrences in particular. And then, of course, he'll address things here domestically, Savannah and Christine. He'll talk about what we've been seeing on college campuses, the protests that we've been seeing, and he will denounce again anti-Semitism in those spaces and in any spaces around the country. He'll talk about how Americans should stand together to fight any sort of hate and hate speech in any form.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist, thank you very much for your reporting.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.